Hey gang, Morgan Wright coming to you again. I've got a new feature. We're still following the case of Officer Michael Connors. I've got more interviews lined up. I've got more things lined up to talk about on that case. In fact, we may be doing something national on that here pretty soon. So you folks out there in Richmond PD, do not give up. We're still diving into this case. And in fact, one of my personal projects is to take that 4-page letter from the parole board and dissect that thing like Hannibal Lecter and leave it bleeding on the table as I enjoy it with a nice Chianti. So I'm going to dissect that thing. I'm going to carve it up. But in the meantime, I have a new segment I'd like to call and introduce. The COVID Crime Chronicles. Yes, say that fast 3 times. The COVID Crime Chronicles. So what this is as I'm doing research on this, is I'm reaching out to all the police in Virginia, and with Dana Schrod, who we had on our show yesterday, I'm finding out that there are unbelievable cases of these people being paroled. And I'm going to talk to you about one of them today. So these segments now, these COVID Crime Chronicles, are going to be more quick hits, probably not as much production, because I want to tell you the stories. So here's the story for today. And in fact, this one is it's amazing. So this one here is last week, or a little while ago. So let me see here. Here we go. Just getting myself lined up here, all this new stuff. So, hey, guess what? This guy's name is Dwayne Markee Reid. He is now 45, but when he was convicted at 17, he was tried as an adult for murder, for robbery, and firearm violation. And why was he tried as an adult? Because at 14, he killed another guy. So he killed a guy when he was 14. 3 years later, he kills another guy, and in fact, it was 7 months after he got out of juvenile detention. Who does this sound like? Sounds a little bit like Vincent Lamont Martin. 3 months and 3 days after getting out on parole, he kills Officer Michael Connors. So this guy, 7 months after he gets out of juvenile detention, he killed the victim, Thomas Runyon. That's more important than this other name, Dwayne Markee Reid, but I got to tell you so that you have some context. So he killed Thomas Runyon, 32, during a drug deal. But this time he was tried as an adult. This line did not age well, let me tell you. And this came out of the Virginian Pilot in 1995. I don't think that's still online. I had to go back into some archives, actually, to find the story. But it said Dwayne Markee Reid was involved in 2 murders on the same street within 3 years, both before he turned 17. But a judge on Thursday made sure Reid won't return to Cullodan Street anytime soon. That would be what is wrong, Alex. Absolutely wrong. Because guess what? He's getting out. And in fact, the newspaper quoted the prosecutor as saying, and listen to this, the defendant stepped back from the car, turned, pointed his gun, and shot Thomas Runyon in the head. He shoots to kill and he murders Thomas Runyon for no reason. He was killing for fun. He goes, I submit to you, a killing for no other reason than to see what it felt like. That's right, killing for fun. So he was 18 at the time of his trial, and the judge noted one of the most disturbing aspects of the case was Reid's complete lack of remorse for the murder. None at all. So here we go again. The prosecutors asked for the death penalty. The judge said no. Instead, he sentenced Reid to 2 life sentences, one for the murder, the capital murder, which they asked for the death penalty for. They did not get it, so he sentenced him to life on the murder. He sentenced him to life on the robbery plus 5 years on the firearm charges. He suspends one of the sentences. Why would you suspend one of the life sentences? These things should have run consecutively. Instead, he gets 1 sentence for life. He's already done his 5 years on the firearms charges. So normally you think people like this would be locked up for life. So he spent 27 years in prison. But unfortunately, on April 3rd, Virginia's parole board sent the Suffolk Commonwealth's attorney another letter. Phil Ferguson is the Commonwealth's attorney there named. Basically telling him he'd been granted parole. Again, the parole board violated the notification that says you've got to give them by certified letter. You have to send them out the information, letting them know, letting them respond. It was a fait accompli. For you folks in West Virginia, that means it's a done deal. So it was a fait accompli. It was already done. They sent this letter out. They're releasing this guy on, quote, discretionary patrol. So guess what, folks? Parole was abolished in 1995 in Virginia. So if you get life after 95, it's life. But unfortunately, a lot of these cases that are being dealt with are pre-1995. And basically, and even if it's a geriatric release, what they call geriatric release, if you're age 60, they can do far more. But if you're a homicidal maniac and if you're locked up and you've shot somebody in the head, and even the judge says, look, you did it just for fun, you ought to be there. So looking at this, it appears that the parole board is just interested in getting people out of prison. What is up with you? Now, I know that they have some new members. There's at least maybe 1 to 2 people on there who have their heads screwed on right, who are going to use common sense and good judgment and realize, and look, folks, let me ask you something. Had it not been for COVID-19, would we be letting these people out of prison? So there's only one of 2 answers. It's either yes or it's no. And if it's yes, we're letting them out of COVID-19, then my question to you is, why are we letting these people out and not other people who've committed less serious offenses? Man, if you're just going to empty the prison, just empty the prison. If you're letting the most heinous of criminal actors go, then why not just let everybody go? Why not let the rapists and the people who abuse children and commit sexual offenses against the old? Or you just pick your violent crime of choice, your crime against. Why not let them out? So if you're letting this person out, if you're letting Dwayne Markee Reid out, what is your justification? So either it's for COVID, which falls flat on its face just to begin with, or from the standpoint of, if it's not related to COVID, then what in the hell are you doing releasing somebody who, by the trier of fact and the judge who said this person showed absolutely no remorse? So you know what I'd really like to see? I'd start liking to see their conduct records. I would like to start seeing what kind of prison record these folks actually have. And by the way, I go back to parole board. If you think it's such a good idea, then tell me, what's the halfway house plan? What's the reintegration plan? It's hard enough for decent law-abiding Americans who, by the way, aren't serving time in Nottoway, or name your correctional institution of choice here in the great Commonwealth of Virginia, formerly being from the great state of Kansas as a farm boy. Still love Kansas, but been here 20 years now. So now you are in one of these communities. How safe do you sleep at night? How safe do you feel tonight knowing that a convicted murderer twice killed somebody, the last time shot him in the head for nothing more than just fun, just to see what it's like? And guess what? They're going to be in your community here pretty soon because the parole board violated the law, did not give proper notification, and just something. If you folks read the Virginia Code, you'll see that there is a Victim's Bill of Rights, not just sort of etched in there. It is in the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia. So victims have rights. So where are the rights of the victims during this time? Where are the rights of law enforcement and the city and the Commonwealth to respond to this and say, no, not this guy, maybe this one, but not this person? And guess what? It's not just guys. The next case I'm going to talk to you about is a lady who plotted the murder of her son-in-law, I believe it is. We'll talk about that. But it's murder for hire. She did less than 8 years on her sentence. So what is going on, Virginia? What is going on with the parole board? And I'm telling you right now, if you think I'm going to go away, this is not going to happen. I have finally found some things to do while I've been isolated here on COVID, besides looking at my nice cats, riding my Peloton. So if you guys are out there, join us on Peloton. I'm in a group called Peloton Military Vets, and then law enforcement riders, Peloton LEO riders. So come join us out. Anyway, that being said, I get back to the point in chief, the case in chief, which is, if you think this is such a good idea, there's my friends. Hey there, Dana, what's going on? And then my sister, Jerry Mason, watching from Kansas. So hey, all you guys. Sorry, I'm a little distracted here because I'm on a rant. As Dennis Miller said, I don't mean to get off on a rant here, but so let me tell you, I think the collective IQ of the people who made this decision. By the way, here's something very interesting. Goes back to the Michael Connor case yesterday, and it was something, as I was discussing with Dana, we started looking at the vote. I misspoke. I said the vote was 4-1. The vote is not 4-1. The vote was 4-0 for Officer Michael Connors. Why is that important? And why is that important on cases like this? Because you have to go back and realize it takes a supermajority to get somebody out of prison. So on 5 parole members, that means you have to have 4. So why did they stop at 4? I guarantee you, here's what happened. The head of the parole board, who shall not be named because I won't give this person the airtime and give them any validation. The head of the parole board, I guarantee you, had meeting, and this gets into now whether there's any violations of the Open Meetings Act, whether or not they were supposed to statutory notify people of meetings. I guarantee you, here's what happened. The chair of the parole board got in contact with other people. By the way, there's Steve Murphy. And you go, girl. By the way, guys, Steve Murphy, you guys got to watch DEA Narcos. When you watch DEA Narcos, this is the Steve Murphy that took down frickin' Pablo Escobar. Him and Javier Pena. It's my brother. It's my buddy. So, And then, oh, by the way, here's speaking of parole officers. Yeah, let's talk parolees. Kelly used to be my next door neighbor when I was a detective back in Kansas. Him and I used to work cases all the time. And as Dana says, we don't know who the fifth parole member was who wasn't allowed to vote. So here's my thought. Here's what I think. I think it was 4-0 for one reason. The chair of the parole board, you guys are getting me off task. Quit talking to me. Let me finish. I'm on a rant here. The reason and the way, if I were going to do this, if I was somebody that was so inclined to let a frickin' cop killer out or even these other murders, I'd make sure I go to the 4 people that I've socialized with, that I've socialized this decision, knowing that they're going to vote a certain way. I don't want the 5th one. You know why? Because now I can go out, it's all about the optics, it's all about the narrative, and I can say, guess what? It was a 4-0 vote. When my question is, well, where was the 5th vote? Their answer is, well, we don't need it because once we got the four votes, we don't need the 5th vote. And I guarantee you who the 5th vote was. I don't know the name, but I can guarantee you what their predisposition was. This was probably somebody who believed in law and order. Let's see. Correct. Whoever it was left out the vote wasn't needed because, yes, that's correct. Well, to correct that, the 5th board member, whoever was left out of the vote, wasn't needed because the other 4. I absolutely agree, Dana. That's absolutely correct. And that goes back to my strategy. If I were the parole board chair, and I wanted to get this information out, I would make sure I knew who the 4 were that were going to vote to release a convicted cop killer, so I don't have to get the 5th vote. Because if I got the 5th, if I took all 5 votes in order, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this in order. The people are going to vote yes, 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 yes. I don't want yes, no, yes, because then I have to get all 5 votes. So now it looks like it's 4-0. Now it looks like, oh my goodness, we're all in consensus. No, there's not consensus, and I think some of that is going to change. Just like in this case, Dwayne Markee Reid. How do you let somebody out who is so cold-blooded? They haven't served enough time. I'm sorry. When you go back and you look at these cases that have come up for the parole board, and you see that they say the seriousness of the crime, they haven't shown enough remorse. He had no remorse at 18. He was a stone-cold killer at the age of 17. He was a stone-cold killer at the age of 14. Now, you want that person in your neighborhood. You want that person sitting down next to you, knowing that there's how many small businesses are out of business right now? How many people have lost their jobs? Take a look at the unemployment rate. Now, you tell me, where is a convicted killer, a convicted murderer with a firearms charge and a robbery charge and a homicide charge? Where are they going to get a job at? And if they're not going to get a job, what do you think they're going to do? I'm just asking the obvious, folks. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm just asking the obvious. And by the way, this is a great quote here from Miles Turner. The rights of the victim's family ends in parole hearings here. Apparently, yeah, because apparently we don't have to go to them. Apparently we don't need to socialize and do the due diligence. When I tell you the story of this next one, and I'm going to save that for tomorrow, the lady who was in prison for murder for hire, and when you see the letter from the Commonwealth's attorney, you're going to realize this so-called, well, we did our due diligence, we tried to find them. If you can't find a victim of a crime that lives in the same house with the same address, with the same P.O. box number, the same telephone number, and has not moved since the date of the crime, you aren't much of an investigator, and it calls into question your ability to actually conduct an investigation, which is an insult to all seasoned professional investigators out there, no matter what discipline you're in or what branch. I've seen a lot of good investigators from the parole side, from the insurance side, from the news. I've seen investigative reporters do a better job than this parole board has done. So anyway, don't want to get off on a rant here. That's the case for today. Remember that name, Dwayne Markee Reid. And what is going to be interesting, and I would really love for the Virginia Association of Chiefs of Police, my good friends there, in concert with my good buddy Jim Birch, who's the president of the Police Foundation, I would love to do a nationwide study, starting here in Virginia, and start looking at to say, of all of these people who are released, how many go back to reoffend and commit a similar crime or a serious crime, because there's no reintegration plan, there's no job, there's no support system. If you think parole officers are overworked now, wait till you double, triple, quadruple the number of people that are out on parole. How do you think that's going to work, folks? So it's not. And the system's going to break, and that is not and I'm not casting aspersions on the POs out there, the probation and parole people. They work their ass off. It is tough to manage the caseload because they just keep dumping on those people. You're asking the police now to go back and investigate crimes where people have been released and go out, kill, rape, rob, murder people, within 24 hours after being released. So these are all the kind of stories we're going to do on the COVID Chronicles. So remember, here's what we're going to do. The COVID Crime Chronicles coming to you. I'm going to keep this up. I'll keep telling these stories. If you've got stories, it's very easy. Just message me on Facebook. Yeah, here's one from Leslie Trexler. That guy stirred Officer Connors and shot him in the face. Yeah, by the way, guys, in case you missed the Officer Connors, shot him once in the neck, went through the neck, traversed the neck, ended up over here by the arm. That one was probably fatal. Then he walked up cold-blooded, 6 to 12 inches, stood over him, shot him 4 more times. Bang, 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 and one through the nose. So these are the type of people that your parole board in the Commonwealth of Virginia are releasing. If you want to do something about it, start a letter writing campaign. There's lots of information out there. A lot of radio stations, a lot of places. Go to the Virginia Association of Chiefs of Police website and download the information. They will show you how to write the letter to go to the parole board to stop this nonsense. Look, evil triumphs when good men do nothing. We are not going to sit here and do nothing. We're going to do something about this, even if it's just me shooting my mouth off for 15 minutes a day. I guarantee you, if we speak loud enough, long enough, we'll get our voices heard. We got some things in the works nationally that are going to be happening. And so I want you guys to stick with me, stick with the COVID Crime Chronicles. We're going to be doing this. But again, this is going to be one series. The Officer Michael Connors, we're still looking to finish up some interviews with some people on that, including the prosecutor of the case. We're also going to be talking, hopefully next week, with another officer who was shot, left for wounded. And by the way, Miles Turner, who was on the broadcast with me on Tuesday, was the paramedic who responded to the scene to tend to that officer. I don't want to give a lot of details away because I want you guys tuning in. So there you go, Kelly, my brother. When I say Kelly used to live across the street, he lived diagonally from me. You know, we lived there. Yeah. I hook them, he books them, we cook them. You know, we send these guys and girls, by the way, back to jail. So anyway, guys, take care until tomorrow. But I don't know. I don't actually have a standard time for doing this. You're just going to have to be flexible with me because I got a paying job too. I got things I have to do with real clients and people who pay me money. This I do for free. If you want to pay me money, I'll give you an address to send money to. But hey, what I'll do is I'm going to set up an email address at fightcrime.tv, and I'll be a place where you can send tips to. And so if you have tips on stories, if you have tips on other stuff, hey, here's my cousin, Dwight Klein. By the way, Dwight, I believe, was sheriff's officer, sergeant in the sheriff's office. He's another brother that served and wore the badge and served his community. So it runs in the family. So, there's somebody from Twitter. There you go, Donna. We got somebody from Periscope listening in. So, hey, guys, Jamie J, flexible. What the heck? What do you mean, what the heck, Jamie J? You and your long-ass beard and playing hockey in Missouri. So, hey, there's my Peloton friend, Lonnie. By the way, glad to see you're up and around. If you guys don't, you may not know this name. You need to go back and see her story if you can find it. She and her husband were in Italy. They caught COVID. Her husband got it really bad. She got it bad too. Had she not been in great shape, it would have been difficult to recover. So you guys got to go read that story and see what these folks are doing. So I'm just glad everybody's back. Everybody's healthy. Speaking of Peloton, when I get done here, I'm going up on my bike. Going to crank out 45 minutes or so to get myself ready for dinner because, you know, I'm buff. I got to keep working out. So, all right, guys. Till tomorrow, like I said, I'm going to be flexible. Jamie J, you just got to fit it into your busy schedule. Mr. Bottleneck.online, right? Mr. Virtual Assistant, who's doing great things all over the world. So I've just given a bunch of shout-outs for free. I'm going to start charging you people. All right, tune in for me tomorrow. Or tune in tomorrow. I'm going to cover another story about a lady who plotted the murder for hire. When you see the details of this case and what happens, you'll be looking for my, we'll see. It's been kind of dodgy lately because I haven't been able to do much, but we'll see. But hey, guys, tune in tomorrow. We're going to cover some more cases. And until next time, stay safe, stay 6 feet apart, sanitize your hands. I'm not going to prison because of you. I will send you to prison if you get me sick, okay? Till then, guys, peace out.